Alright, this is my end of year for 2022 video for my collection. A few of these things were found at the end of last year after I'd done my video. I didn't bother to remake it, so get those in here this time. We're going to start over here with the arrowheads and points. I really suck at spotting arrowheads. So out of 15 years, that's all but one of them that I found. And I find lots of scrapers, but yeah, I wish I could find the points. Some of these are kind of cool. It looked like they were made by the same person who's maybe just kind of perfecting his skill a little bit. Dogs, go! Alright, we'll come over here. I've got a couple mauls. This is like a hard sandstone, so somehow it got a hole busted in it. Like a pre-form maul. Got some regular pottery from, well, this one's from Iowa, but the rest of these are from around here. Typical you'd find. This piece, I've got an emails out to the State Archaeological Society. It's possible that this is just modern craft store garbage that had a scented candle in it. But I'm hoping this is something that was like a trade piece with a southern tribe. So I'm not trying to sell it as something that I don't know for a fact it is. But I'm hoping this is original from some southern tribe. Got a pipe that I found, and a few miscellaneous teeth. Got some really nice vertebra. Nice big thoracics. These two, I believe, are Ice Age. This one, you know, I'm not an expert, so I could be wrong on this. Because it's so much more mineralized and heavy and just thick. I suspect this is latifrons, but, you know, I'm just guessing. I'm not an expert. Got my cannon bones. I've got modern bison, antiquus. Another one I think is latifrons. I mean, compare that to a modern. I like that. Sacrum, some other vertebra. This one is neat. If you can see it in the video, there's chop marks where it was cut from the skull. And it was cut right there too. This would be the first vertebra after the skull. So they removed the skull. This humerus, it's got a straight line there and then it's chipped on both sides. I suspect this was hit with an arrowhead and chipped it out. Again, I'm just kind of guessing. I'm not an expert. This one is cool. It'd be a modern, I believe. But it's got a straight line right there. I suspect maybe this one was also hit with the spear. It didn't go all the way through, but it cracked it. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I think. Got some nice leg bones, tibias. And look at the size of that. Beautiful color, perfect. Okay, we'll come up here. Just a lot of miscellaneous hooves and toes and some more cannon bones and calcaneus. This horn is really cool because you can see the internal structure. They're not solid and they're not just hollow, but they're honeycombed. That's kind of neat. Big almost 32-inch male. If he'd had his whole horn, he'd be almost 32. He's got his upper jaws. He's just missing his nose and part of the horn. He's a nice one. My 32. This is my first antiquus skull. 32-inch female. I like that one a lot. Big old shoulder blade, scapula. These are neat. Little tiny jaws, bison jaws. some babies. I got several sizes kind of working up. This one I got this year. This is 19 inches. It's not the prettiest one, but it is definitely antiquous. Because I found a skull close by. Well, in 3 pieces. Some tail bones. Some nice big ribs. You can tell a cow from a bison because a cow is bred to have a lot wider ribs. So that's how you tell a cow from a bison. Some of the front ribs, the short front ribs. This is unusual. It's fairly common to find like the horn and like a piece of the skull, but you almost never find a baby that is pretty much complete. I'm missing the nose in this, but you know, for him not to have broken apart at the sutures is rare. His teeth aren't even erupted really. I think he's like 9 inches across at the spread. Oh, this skull is one of my favorites. He's not the biggest, but I like him because you can see there's 3 different spots where he took horns to the head fighting for his females. And I like the fact that it's complete, of course. He's like 27, I think. And none of these have been colored in any way. I preserved them, but they have not been, you know, soaked in tannins or nothing like that. At least not by me, I mean just naturally. Okay, we'll come over here. A lot of my miscellaneous leg bones from mammoth and like part of joints. Just like that. This miscellaneous piece, I think this is a piece of scapula, like the edge of a scapula. And then I've got some mastodon teeth. This is my wife's personal best. It's a beautiful yellow color. If you see it in the sunlight, it's just really nice yellow in there. And this, I can't remember if it's my son or I found this one. Beautiful blues. I found this. It was upside down and totally filled in with mud. I saw it was the edge. I thought it was like some sort of garbage fruit cup or something. And luckily for me, I turned over and looked at it. Okay. The front piece of a sternum. Now, I don't know if this would be mastodon or if this is sloth. When I first found it, it looked like slag. Because there's no real good structure up here. You can't really tell. But that is just, yeah, you can tell that's a front part of a sternum. Okay. Heel bone or calcaneus. This would be a bison. And for comparison, this is a mammoth or mastodon. I think it was mastodon. What I was told. Got a chin. Like that. Mastodon jawbone. And you can see where the teeth went in, but there's no teeth in it. And then same with this baby mastodon. You can see where the teeth would go in there, but they're not there, of course. Bummer. I think this is just a mammoth toe, I believe. Mammoth or mastodon kneecap compared to a bison kneecap. This would be one of the miscellaneous heel bones. I don't know the name of it. And then one from a bison for comparison for size. Just the tip. Tip from Tusk. Okay. It's my best mammoth tooth. It's a pretty one. Like that a lot. And then it's very rare to find babies. I got almost a perfect baby. I knocked off a little bit of the root there. But other than that, that one's perfect. And a little baby Mastodon tooth. I don't want to pick up this tusk because it's still pretty fragile. I preserved it, but the whole backside is rotted out. And I've already busted off one little piece there, so I don't want to mess it up. This one is totally solid. This is heavy. I like that. Some more miscellaneous piece of ivory. And another one of my teeth. My wife stepped over this thinking it was tree bark. Yes, honey. Nice vertebra from I would suspect Mastodon, but I'm not positive. Mastodon, mammoth. Axis vertebra. I was told this could be either a very large Mastodon or a mammoth. I love this guy. I actually have a video when I found him. The brain case was opened up by natives to get the brains to tan the hide. And, I mean, there are some other ones around, but they're not common at all. It's pretty rare to find them. I don't know if I already mentioned my big guy here. This is my biggest bison. If complete, he'd be about 34 inches. He's got one upper jaw, but he's missing the whole side of his head here. Bummer. But nice big one. We'll come down here to my other stuff. Musk ox I found last year. Beautiful. If it had the horn over there, the whole horn, he'd be 27 inches across. He's got the whole back of the skull and everything. He's just missing the bottom of the eye sockets and the nose. Some other musk ox bones. And then I got my sloth. Beautiful sloth vert. I got this one this year. This is like towards the tail of the sloth. And then I've got a couple different sloth ribs. And back there, there's a partial pelvic bone from a sloth. And then my understanding is that a modern pronghorn is about the same size as an Ice Age. This feels somewhat mineralized, but I wouldn't be able to tell you if this was a modern or if this was old. But it's still dang cool. It's the only one I've ever found around here. Alright. After doing some more looking at the museum, I determined this is from a horse. I wasn't positive if this was bison or what, but I believe that's horse. And some more sternum from bison. And some more pieces. I don't know what these flat pieces are. They're lighter. They're not near as dense as a bison, but they're bigger. So I don't know if that would be possibly sloth. I don't know. The guy at the museum said this was musk ox. I've had somebody else tell me this is 100% camel. I wouldn't be able to tell you which it is. So either way, it's cool, and it's a beautiful blue. The only carnivore I found, I've got a partial bear, just modern. Black bear, probably. Cool, though. Well, I get big carnivore. I've got like wolves and dogs. Okay. This is kind of cool. I've got cannon bones. I like my comparisons. I've got a deer. I've got an elk. I bought this moose. This is an Ice Age stag moose. So you can see the size difference from a deer is about the same as from an elk to a moose to a stag. Big animals. Okay, skull cap from a stag moose. On an elk, you can see the horn or the antlers come off the top. A stag moose, the antlers come off the sides. Brain case. I wish I had more of this guy, but that's pretty darn cool. It's unusual to find elk around here. This is a part of a stag moose antler, the main beam. This would be what came right off the skull. I preserved it, but I still wasn't trusting it, so I left one zip tie on there. Pretty damn cool, though. Okay, now we'll go talk about this stuff. I've got a cool horse. It looks big, but it's actually not a full-grown horse. And then we got like a femur that was butchered. Crude butcher marks. Like this, they got toes that were fused together, arthritis. Nice big horse jaw. Complete, it's got both sides. That horse skull has got like 2 different bullet holes in him. They had to put him down, apparently. I had no idea what these were when I found them. I thought maybe it was a human bone or something, but nope. Someone in the area used to raise emu. So this is emu bones. They would raise them for the leather and for the meat, and then just dump the carcasses in the creek, I guess. I thought this was some sort of like pterodactyl skull when I found it, because it looks like an eye. But this is the pelvic bone from the emu. You can see all the open air passages there, or air pockets. Alright, here's another cool comparison. That's a pretty good size elk, modern elk, compared to the stag moose. That's pretty cool. At least I believe that's elk. And I've got like a horse and a cow and pig and deer, so I can do comparisons. Okay, here's my oddball stuff. This is very light. So originally, I just assumed this was a cow sternum. This is one piece I had looked at the other day at the museum, and he thought it was way too big to be cow, so he thought maybe sloth. But after doing some more comparison, just looking at them at the museum, and some pictures, this looks pretty much identical to a big old cow, one with like arthritis and stuff. So this has got to be cow. It's still really cool looking, but it's very, very light, and I don't think this is old. I've got some other pieces in here with like arthritis growing on them. This one had some sort of infection in there that blew his whole jaw out. Sad for him, but it's kind of cool to see. This one I like a lot. A lot of both broken pieces. I don't even keep. I might just toss it back in. And I was about to toss this in when I realized, oh, wait a minute. This is broken, but it healed. So this bison broke his neck and then it healed. That's cool. And here's another one of my awesome pieces. Be a juvenile bison tibia. Must have shattered it, and then it healed, really deformed, but he didn't make it to adulthood. So, but he lived long enough for it to heal. That's kind of cool. What else? I've got some other ones, like just a lot of damage in there that healed up. This is just a old piece of antler, I believe. And I just kept it because it's so cool. It's just been so gnawed on by rodents. Just absolutely chewed to death. Pretty cool. Oh. And a few other pieces where they had tumors or something on them. Okay, then we'll talk about what's up here. I found this just about a month ago. My best skull, a 32-inch female, absolutely complete. These two little bones had come out, but I glued them back in, and you can see where I glued it, so that kind of sucks. But they're in there. It's complete. I think it looks good. I did not color this in any way. I just, preserved it, and it kind of brought out the colors that were there. Look at this sucker. Oh. I mean, they get bigger than this, but they don't get any better than this. And you can see the back is there. She's got some of her teeth. She's missing some of her teeth, but got half of them. Oh, and she is heavy. Heavy, heavy, heavy. Okay. These are all from the same animal. Last year, my friend saw several partial ribs sticking out of the bank. And so she told me about it, so we went back together and dug. And she got just about as much as I did. She took the skull was in very bad condition and crumbly. So we got what we could get. I got one upper jaw. She got the other upper jaw. Some of my teeth are a little beat up, but they're there at least. She got an atlas vertebra and the partial ribs, a couple other vertebra. I like this rib bone. 42 inches long. This would be a chin bone, or a cheek bone. This is part of the skull. And if you can see, this is where the tusk went in. Because you can see there's still tusk bark in there. So that's where it connected. When we found it, it was going back into the hillside. And the hill was already starting to collapse us a little bit, digging. So we figured we'll go back in the spring when it's collapsed more and we can get in there safer. And we were only thinking about, how much is it worth to us as a collection piece. If I thought about the dollar value, I probably would have kept going. We could tell it didn't look like there was one tusk in there, but we thought maybe the other tusk was there. And I saw one of my competitors in the creek, hoping, and he doesn't miss anything. So I figured he'd see it eventually before we can get to it. I was hoping that, if I told him it was our find, he would kind of respect that. It must have been like the very next day. He must have called his buddies to come down and help him dig it out. And they got a complete tusk from this same animal. So that kind of sucked. If he was going to keep it for his own collection, that'd be one thing. But I believe he just turned around and sold it. So to snake us just for some money sucked. Anyway, the vertebra I got from there. I did go back after they had already been there and gotten the tusk out and poked around some more, and I did find this one more piece. I mean, isn't that a beaut? Again, it was a subadult Mastodon. This has got a cool little, I don't know if you had an infection or what, but a little hole in there. And I asked what this was, and the expert didn't know, but it was with these other bones, so it's got to be from this animal. And it looked like from the way it was facing, all the back end of the animal had washed away. So this has got to be somewhere up front. I don't know. that's everything I've got down here. Oh, I did talk about my deer skulls. These I found over in northern Missouri. This one skull is busted, but this is the way I found them. They were in a sandbar. All that I saw was a few of the tines sticking up, and it looked like a crown. And I started digging, and that's what I pulled out. I did put zip ties on here so it wouldn't come apart while I was moving around, but that's how they were. So that's awful cool. I guess the last piece to talk about is my mystery piece over here. I don't make any claims that this is old. I don't make any claims that I know what this is. All I say is it is weird. It's got the antlers in the bottom. It's got like a cordage to hold that together. And then the cords change, and up here it's like a nylon thread. And you can obviously see it's done a lot better. And on this inside, this is like a plywood. So maybe this is like a Boy Scout project. Maybe it was something that was repaired at some point, and then for whatever reason, I found it in the creek. So, like I said, I don't make any claims about it other than to say it's cool. A few little odds and ends. I like this little antler. I was told this is probably from some sort of ornamental deer that was imported to Nebraska. I don't know. I'm not a deer hunter, but it looked awful unusual to me. Nice big old dog skull. Okay, hit pause. All right, this is the skull that got me hooked. We'd found one other like small vertebra in my parents' pond. So we started looking around at other places, other creeks, and this is our first real find. And from that point on, I was addicted. It's only a modern 21-inch female, so it's nothing special. But she's in the living room. She got the place of honor. I got some cool like dog and a partial wolf and beaver and nice cool snapping turtle. And then over here, some of the jars that I found. This is an old ink bottle, I guess. Most of these I bought. There's only a couple on the top, and then one on the bottom are ones that I found. Oh, I guess there's a cat skull too. And this case isn't the greatest for this kind of display, but I've got a wolf skull. I've got a dog skull, nice big dog skull. And then that's from Skulls Unlimited. It's a bone clone copy of a dire wolf, copy of a saber tooth. I've got the house cat and mountain lion and bobcat on that same shelf. Then I've got raccoon, otter, beaver. I don't know if you can see it in there. Got the old big Ice Age beaver. And then the monster. Short-faced bear. Again, I know it's not the greatest case to be able to see him. But, and you compare the short-faced bear with the brown bear and the black bear. Anyway, it's cool pieces. I believe that is all of my collection. I hope you guys enjoyed it.